this video is for parents who have students in lower logic, or what we would call 5th and 6th grade. I wanted to do a video just showing you the different books that you would need. At Aletheia Christian Academy, we do not have a math program, so you will want to use your own math curriculum and purchase that for this year, whatever math you are interested in using at home. Also, all of the classes that we offer, you could choose just to use it as an enrichment class, meaning that you don't buy anything at home. Although we are following curriculum, and so it would make sense that it would be your curriculum that you use, in the sense that you would get one of the days done and then just have to do the other 4 days at home. But you don't have to do that. It's not required. The first class that we will be doing is our composition class, and we're going to be using the All Things Fun and Fascinating. Now, on the book list, it originally did say Bible-based writing lessons, and we had talked about maybe doing that for the older strand, or perhaps kids that were well-versed in IEW. However, after talking through the logistics of the class, we decided that we will just use All Things Fun and Fascinating in class. If you've already purchased the Bible-based writing lessons because you have an older student, or maybe you were confused, you can use that at home. But we will provide updated texts for this for older students who maybe are able to tackle a little bit more than the other students. But All Things Fun and Fascinating, we'll be completing day 1, maybe even day 1 and day 2 sometimes at Academy, and then you would complete day 3 and day 4 at home. If you have students in upper grammar and lower logic, you probably only need to purchase one. It's up to you and your family's preferences, but I just always had my students write in notebooks and share. Not that they loved that, but it saved us money. And then for the grammar part of the composition class, we are going to be using this Grammar for the Well-Trained Mind. Now, this is an example of perhaps maybe something that is done at Academy Day, but you do not do at home because you have your own grammar program, or you're doing grammar through a foreign language, or you're not into that, and that's fine. Each time they come together, they will spend about a short period of the class doing one lesson of grammar. This grammar book is scripted, so for you at home, maybe you hate that, maybe you love that. I know there's all kinds of people, but it tells you exactly what to say as the instructor. And I know it's a bit confusing figuring out what to buy. So this is a program, this book you would just use 4 years in a row if your child was just starting lower logic as a 5th grader. And you don't need to buy this book. It's just the same text all 4 years. But what does change is the workbook. But we will be using the purple workbook, and that's this big behemoth of a book. So we're using the purple workbook. If you bought a different workbook, it honestly doesn't matter, because we won't really even be using the workbook in class. We'll be doing this, and there might be some workbook exercises the instructor will use on the board. But since not everybody's going to even have this book, I don't even anticipate it being used in class. So if you were like, oh no, I bought I don't know the other colors, maybe the green book or whatever, that's fine. The idea is that you use this every year, and then you do different workbooks, and it's the same level. It's not like it goes up, it just gives you different exercises. And then you also want to get the key, because that's super helpful to know the answers to the workbook. And we won't even get through the whole workbook in our first year. It's pretty advanced grammar as it gets higher, but it's a 3-book set. And then next year, we're deciding what we do. Let's say we did decide to do a different workbook color, or you decided as a family, you would just buy the workbook and key next year, but you wouldn't need to buy the text. It's the same. So it's 3 books. And again, it's optional if you don't want to do grammar. But if you do, it's nice, because at the Academy Day, they're getting through 1 day of it, and then you just have, I believe, 3 other days at home to do. The next class is our science class, and you will need this book if you want to count this as your science curriculum. This is our text that we're going to be using. And in class, we'll be doing all the experiments, the map-its, the track-its, and the hands-on try this, all these projects that are maybe a little bit more daunting to do at home, a little more messy, a little more involved, or just more fun with a lot of people. But there's no way we could get through all of the material in 1 day. And so you will be reading at home, and either your student, depending on how independent they are, will be reading on their own, or you will be reading. And if you have multiple kids across the levels, like I do, I'll just be reading this to my students during our morning time. I've heard they have an audio of it too that you could play. I cannot verify that, but it's this book right here, Exploring Creation with Zoology 3, Land Animals on the 6th Day. and you need the textbook. That's if you want to count this as your science. Now, if you're just doing an enrichment, you're doing your own science thing, and they're just coming for the experiments, that's fine. You don't need it. But this is recommended, not required. We won't even touch this on Academy Day. But for you as a family, this is a journaling notebook through the Land Animals book, and I love it. My kids are going to do it. They have a junior one if the writing and reading level is a little bit different, but this is just some more hands-on stuff that they can work on that kind of enhance what they do in class. And so each of my kids, I normally wouldn't let them write in something like this, but I think it's super fun, and I'm going to get them each their own notebook that are doing it. As far as history, we are using Story of the World Volume 4. There's 2 editions. There's this one, and then they just came out with a new edition this year, but they didn't change any of the information. They just added some different illustrations, and the student activity book, which you do not need to purchase, they did add some things too, but the editions are interchangeable. So you can buy the older one and save money, or you can buy the newer one and enjoy the newer illustrations, whatever your family wants to do. You just need 1 student textbook per family, even if you have multiple children doing Story of the World, and now this goes from 1st through 8th grade. And they'll be reading, there'll be chapters assigned to read. I also recommend, I've enjoyed having the audios of other volumes. And so, because you do have the science to read, maybe you're like, oh, that's a lot to read. As a family, you can put on the audio, if you buy the audio volume for while they're doing Legos, or maybe while they're having rest time in the afternoon, or driving around in the car, get through those chapters. So that's an option too. And so you will need this if you want to do the history as your history class to have the full curriculum, because we will be doing the hands-on stuff in class and kind of reviewing and doing narration questions and working on a timeline, but you'll need this book to get the whole curriculum. And then if you're wondering, like, how will I know what to do when, we have a syllabus. This is this year's syllabus, so it'll be different for this coming year. This is the year we just finished. And this syllabus has what we did in Academy for the level and what you do at home. So it will correlate to all that curriculum I just showed you. Like, this is what we covered in Story of the World. This is what we need you to read for next week, and the same with science. For geography, you don't need to purchase anything. Maybe just have maps at your house that they can look at. We'll be focusing on North and South America, and we'll be using some books in Academy, but you don't need to purchase those for yourself. And then I just want to make sure for fine arts, you won't need anything. And I think I mentioned it, but just in case, you will need to do your own math curriculum at home. But if you have any other questions, you can just reach out. I try to buy my books used. There's a book sale at the church this coming Saturday on the 29th. I believe is the date. I get them off of eBay. I get them sometimes on used homeschool curriculum classifieds or Rainbow Resource. If I'm buying new, they have the best prices. So there's a lot of ways. But you can reach out if you have any other questions.